Computer. All right, we are here with Marta. Hi. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
And
you got it.
let's talk about your experience. And I really want to understand what you've gone through in your movement journey from when you were a young kid to now. But let's start with this question. So before starting the course, before even beginning the course with me, what were some things you were dealing with? What were some issues in your body you were going through? What was preventing you from moving in the way that you desire?
Yes, so first of all, I want to say that I never really thought that movement is something like I'm deeply connected with. And I always felt like, I have a good body metabolism and I'm like pretty thin. So growing up as a girl, I was like, okay, I have already won. So I don't need to do anything. Like I don't need to go to the gym. I am very lucky in that aspect. So this is how I perceived this. And now I understand like this is not a very healthy way to look at your body and your health and movement and everything else connected with that. So at some point in my life, I just felt like there's something that is going wrong with my body because I'm in my 20s and I started having already like some knee pain here, some ankle pain there, and also wrist pain that lasted for like weeks or even months.
Oh, wow.
So I felt like this should not be like that and that there's something wrong. So I started doing your course
Mm.
just to uh, relieve this pain that I had. So I was very surprised also to discover that it fit very well into my routine and it gave me additional benefits as well.
Okay, wonderful. So, well, before we go into the course, I wanted to know something else. I want to get your insight on something. So, when you talked about being a woman and having a fast metabolism, being young, do you feel like for women in general, and I've talked to a lot of women about this, but for women in general, growing up for you, maybe it's different in different parts of the world too, but growing up for you, do you feel like movement education as a young woman, is that something that's well available to you? Was it pushed forward in schools or when you were growing up, or was it not so much pushed at all for you?
Um, I'm not sure because like it's hard for me to compare it with anybody else, but I feel like it was a little bit pushed
Okay.
in school, but it was not fun at all. It was not something like we couldn't choose the activities that we wanted to do. It was something that was like just given to us, like here you have a volleyball, play it, and uh, and it was not fun. And I feel like also growing up as a girl, there is some kind of pressure to just be fit and to go to the gym. And I felt like, okay, this is maybe not for me because I don't have any body issues. And I wish that growing up there was more, uh, maybe somebody would make me more aware of the benefits that the movement has
Mhm.
rather than like just having a nice body. What are the health benefits?
Yeah, it's something I've talked about with a lot of my female athletes, clients, even I work with. It is often just expected, I mean, just in society for women to look a certain way, but
Yeah.
also the importance of having a body that can do things whenever they want, however they want, with whomever they want. That's such an empowering thing. Those three things.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not in their awareness because what's being pushed into their awareness at the moment is look good and stave off gaining weight. And
Yes.
that's it.
Yes. Exactly.
And even female athletes that play at the highest level, and it's changing. It is changing drastically in a positive direction with the advent of social media. But they don't even have the same resources as male athletes. Like even the
Mm,
gym equipment's different, the way they're trained is different. When in reality, I mean, there are some nuances, yes, around a woman's cycle that you want to be careful with when we train, and we can talk about that. But other than that, they should be pushed the same way. It should be, you know, really driving home the message of how can we get you to feel really empowered and confident in your own body. So
Yes.
I want to know, with your experience going into the course so far, what has been some of the, I'm sure there's a lot of body shifts, but I want to know, what are some of the mental shifts for you that have occurred, like from before starting the program to being in it now for a little while?
Um, well, I haven't really thought about mental shifts, but the first thing that comes to mind is realizing what I am capable of.
Mhm.
Because I feel like also when I was growing up, I had this kind of belief that I am a weak person physically, and that I don't know where this came from. Maybe some other people were kind of like reinforcing that because I was pretty skinny and I didn't really use much strength when I was growing up. So I had this belief that I am not a strong person physically. And
Mm.
through this course, I feel like, you know, I'm doing the same exercise that a guy would do essentially, and I feel like I am doing well. And what's most important, I see the change. I see the improvement whenever I do the same exercise, whenever I repeat it after a certain amount of time. I feel like I'm doing way better. So that's for my mindset. It's like, wow, I am able to do that. Like I never thought I would be able to do these kind of exercises. And also, I didn't really believe maybe that I could achieve this kind of consistency because I used to try some Pilates in the past, or just like, you know, running or going to the gym and doing random things. So I didn't have a structure and I could never maintain any routine. But with your program, I am very surprised that I'm just doing it pretty much every day and with nonstop. And you know, I'll just keep going. So this is another very surprising thing that I learned.
That's beautiful. The question I have to that then is, would you say, what would you attribute, okay, this ability to shift now into consistency and do all this, what would you attribute to being able to stay consistent and see these gains? Would you say, because one conversation I had with somebody recently was, okay, there's a notion of training, and there's a notion of working out. And for both men and women, it's being
Mm-hmm.
pushed, especially for women, working out
Mm-hmm.
is this notion of, okay, you expend energy, you use energy, and then you sweat, you have the endorphins, you feel good, and then you go about your life. Maybe you post on social media and you're like, yeah, I got it done, great. And
Mm-hmm.
you have this notion of training, and training, it has a different intent. It's knowing yourself, knowing your body, knowing how to move it, and then intentionally moving it in a certain way for a specific result, whether it's to feel something different, it is to move a little better, is to get stronger, it's to be more efficient, have a little bit more connection from mind to body. So yeah, I had that conversation. And for you, what would you say you would attribute towards your ability to stay consistent? Is it more because it's more focused, more intent, or what is it for you?
I feel like it's because your training has a lot of structure. So I know what I can expect in a certain day, and there's just it's not random because before when I was working out, it was pretty random. I didn't even know what I was trying to achieve, and I didn't have any specific plan. And here I have a plan, and I see the results, and also I feel way more connected to my body. And yeah, I feel like the structure is the thing that keeps me consistent with that, and consistently seeing the results also.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so, in terms of results for you, what are some changes? Let's start with a couple of different ways of looking at this. What are some changes you're noticing in the way you're feeling in your body? Like when you wake up, move about your day functionally, what are some things you're noticing?
Well, I don't have any chronic pain these days, or it's very rare. It's not like it was before I started this training. So this is amazing for me because I feel like, okay, this is one great benefit that I'm getting. Another thing is that I feel that different parts of my body are connected, which is something that I haven't really experienced before. And even when I do get some kind of pain, I can feel it. Like let's say I get pain in my, I don't know, let's say in an ankle, and I can feel it going up towards my hip, and I feel the connection. So this is very surprising because it's not like just one separate part of my body, it's everything connected. So this is another great thing. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
That's beautiful. Feeling the connection from one area of your body to another. That is really one of the most important things I want everyone to understand from this course.
Yeah.
Or even anyone that works with me in person, whether it's a client, athlete, whoever it is to know that whatever we're feeling, whether it's a knee thing or a wrist thing, it's not actually the knee thing. It's actually something else.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the beauty of.
Yeah. Another thing is maybe specifically the big toe is a huge surprise for me because I had no idea that I could get this kind of range of motion in the big toe and like how it can be so flexible. So I'm very happy when I see that because you know, I don't want to say that I do this training to get some effects because I'd rather do it just to feel better in general and just to have a routine. But seeing that, it makes me feel like, wow, like this is amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's like the big toe is almost like a thumb, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And well, I'm excited for you to go further because later on you'll do pinky training. So your pinky is going to get
Okay.
really strong
Okay.
too.
I'm
And
looking
so
forward.
you think like the foot, most people don't even consider their pinky. It's like a little thing that just sits there. But when we actually use it, man, it changes
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
much.
sometimes I am able to move it actually. So this is also very surprising. Like I never really thought of that before. And I feel like this is such a neglected part of our body. In the mainstream, nobody really talks about it. At least I don't really hear about this. But it's really important, and like building this connection with other parts of my body, it's been wonderful.
When you were little Marta, just go back to when you were, if you can remember this far back, if you remember 5 years old, 6 years old, little kid, how often would you say you spent barefoot?
Hard to say, but what I know is that I always preferred going barefoot. And you know, my parents have a huge garden, and I always like to just go there barefoot. But my parents were like, hey, you know, be careful, wear your shoes, blah blah blah. But I know, like, I had this preference to always go barefoot.
Of course. And I'm sure they did too when they were younger.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, okay. So you're spending a lot of time barefoot in this course. You're using your big toe, you're using your foot in unique ways. Now, and you're feeling different kinds of connection, but let's talk about also from this place of connection, learning how to use your muscles. What did you notice in terms of range of motion, your mobility, your ability to move in these new ranges of motion? What's changed there for you?
Hard to say, you know, like I feel like it's pretty much the same, or hard to say because I haven't really trained regularly before, of course. So it's hard for me to say if there's any specific difference. Because I feel like if I do train, I am quite flexible. So yeah, hard for me to answer that question.
Okay, let's reframe it a little bit. So you're quite flexible. Now, and let's talk about in these ranges of motion that you can get into. So say, for example, you can bend and you can sit in these positions. From before to now, in those same positions, do you notice different sensations in your body now? Do you notice that muscles are engaging differently now in these ranges of motion?
Yes, I do. I definitely do. And another thing, they are just easier to do. And yeah, another interesting thing is at the very beginning, when I just started with the course, I felt a lot of like nervous taxing sensations because my body was just completely not used to that. And it was a little bit difficult for me at the beginning. And I thought, it would be like that all the time. So I remember very vividly this sensation of like nervous taxing, and it doesn't happen anymore. It's completely stopped. I don't even remember when it stopped, but it's not there. And that means that probably my body is already used to that. Those nervous connections have formed. And yeah, it's very, very different right now.
You mean like you're shaking a lot? Like you're like that? Is that what you mean with
No, I would say it's more like like electric shock, I would say, sensation, but just in my brain, like the body is not happy with what I'm doing because this is something new, and it's kind of like electric zapping. I don't know if you get what I mean. Yeah, so that used to happen a lot, and now it's not happening.
Yes, fantastic. Yeah. That is a very common thing in the beginning of anything novel, especially, in this gym. I have a saying and you've seen it, you've been here, but it says, have courage to turn your weakest link into your strongest. And so basically a lot of the course is putting you in these really vulnerable and exposing positions. And so your nervous system, like you were saying, is like, what the hell is this? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Understand this. So you're having to recruit new things, you're having to put it in overdrive, and in essence you are training your nervous system. Like,
yeah, and also maybe in an emotional way. When you're going to the gym and you can imagine you're doing something completely different than all of the people around you who are doing like the basic exercise. I never really thought it was like there was anything wrong with what I'm doing, but I just find it really cool. And it's also kind of like exposing yourself maybe to judgment, and that's how you're also training yourself. But I don't know, maybe for some other people, but I just always I found it really, really fun.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, this is I remember one guy, Joe, he's in Cincinnati. You may have met Joe, but he's in Cincinnati, and he has the blade, and he goes to the gym and he's scraping his leg, and they go, "Sir, are you shaving your leg?" And he's like, no,
Oh my God.
give me your leg, let me do it on you. He's like, oh, I thought you were literally shaving your leg in the gym.
Oh, that's so funny.
How would I do that anyway? So yeah, I do. There's definitely this element of, this is strange, this is novel. But the funny thing is, you go to places in China, or you go to places in India, and some of these things are normal. Like, this is just like, okay, yeah, they're using a gua sha blade because
Oh yeah,
that's normal. They're doing things that are seemingly strange. They're walking backwards, and in this, like, they walk towards you. And I was in China, in Shanghai, when I was 25. And I was walking in Shanghai, and all of a sudden someone's walking next to you, and they turn to face you and start walking backwards.
what?
And the reason behind it, and because, like, on a lot of the hill training is like backwards pushing and all that.
Oh, okay.
Well, the reason why they do it is it's better for your knees to learn how to push this, because we practice so much going forward. Going the other way allows the knee to get more balance. And so they've been doing this for years.
That's so cool.
But now in America, we're catching on and saying, oh yeah, we should walk backwards too. This is good for our knees. And it's becoming less and less abnormal. But you're right, it is interesting. Like, the barbell is normal to someone. But just learning how to use your foot is abnormal.
Yeah, that's very interesting. But also here, I live in Tulum, and we have such a fantastic community. And basically, I would say half of the people, or maybe more, are barefoot anyway at the gym. It's an outdoor gym, and guys are shirtless, and nobody has any problem with that. So I'm very, very happy to be in this open-minded community. And people come to you and they're like, hey, what are you doing? It looks really cool. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Beautiful. Okay, so cool. So you're noticing you rarely have any pain. A lot of the joint pain's gone away. You're feeling like it's easier to get into positions, even though you've been flexible. Now you're, what I would say to someone that has been bendy or flexible is, now that you're actually stable and you're owning those ranges of motion. There's difference between just being able to flex into it and then getting there and being like, I can hold it all day. And that's the special place, is owning a range versus getting into a range. So that's beautiful. Now let's talk about some of the seemingly masculine movements, or movements you would see dudes do. What are some things you're noticing in those exercises? Like, what's changing there for you? I know you said it improved, but let's talk about any of the exercises. Like, you can even bring up some of the exercises and let the people know, like, what have you noticed there?
So there's this exercise, I don't remember the exact name. It's not a push-up. There's a headstand push-up. Yeah, so this one was really hard for me. And maybe because I have never really truly done push-ups in my life, but also because I still attempted this exercise, and I know next time I try it, I'll probably do better. I feel like there is a chance for me to actually do push-ups in the future. So I'm also changing, internally, and realizing what are some of the boundaries that I set for myself, maybe unconsciously, and I'm just shifting that, and I'm realizing that I am able to do that. So yeah, there have been exercises that like this one that are a little bit difficult for me, but I still do it. I still follow, and I do it as much as I can. And it already happened to me that there were some exercises, I can't remember which ones exactly, that were really difficult. And after like second, third, fourth attempt, it became way easier. So yeah.
Second, third, fourth attempt within the same day, or with the next time you did it?
No, the next time I did it, just following the course, because I'm trying not to be too like I don't want to push too hard. I don't want to push myself too hard. So when I feel like, okay, this is something I am not able to do fully right now, I'll just maybe not skip it, but do it as much as I can, and then follow the next exercises. And then the next time the same exercise appears, it's better.
Perfect. Yeah, that's also, one thing that I've done intentionally in the course is figure out, okay, well, how can we, because if you notice, some of the cues end up being the same, right? It's lats, glutes.
Yeah.
Over. So it's not that it's just intentional. It's just really that's the cues your body needs for about 85 to 90% of the movements you do. Now there's nuances.
And another thing I wanted to say is it's hard for me to follow this exact structure of what I have to do in a day, because I feel like it's more suitable maybe for athletes or male athletes. So I don't stress over it, but it happens that sometimes I will do like what I'm supposed to do in a day, I will do in a week, because that's just my pace, and that's just the speed with which I can do that. But still, I'm getting great benefits, so I'm not stressing over this. But as I said, like, hard to do it in this way that you plan.
Yeah, no, totally. And actually it was designed for anyone to benefit. And for the person that wants to go all out, they can do all of it. The person that just wants to master one thing at a time, and there's still going to be benefits. So I'm glad you're taking that approach, because that's definitely the intent, is to follow the that gives you what you need.
Yeah. And for me, it's also way more sustainable to just do it maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour daily, instead of pushing myself too hard and then being burnt out or something.
Yeah, and as you build that ability and capacity over time, then you have more capacity to do more if you would like.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a choose your own adventure. That's really
Correct.
how I see it. Well, good. Okay, that's fantastic. And then in terms, so we talked about range of motion, we talked about your feeling in your body, the connections. Now, I want to see how this is pervaded into other parts of your life. Like you're kind of conquering these limiting belief systems. You surprised yourself. And how have you seen this shift into other parts of your life? You notice it impact other parts of your life?
Definitely. Whenever I am working using my computer, I am very mindful I try to do the stretching on the wall with my wrist
Yeah.
every now and then, just because I know what could be the impact of using the computer keyboard or the mouse. So this is one thing that I have implemented. And there was a time when I was not working out regularly. I was still doing those stretches every day before I started working on my computer. Another thing, I am also, whenever I do a standing desk using my computer, I try to use the slant board.
Oh,
And
cool.
also when I am doing the dishes, whenever I'm washing the dishes, I'm also using the slant board, because I found out that sometimes I can have back pain because I am tall, so I will bend during while I'm doing the dishes. So I found using the slant board to raise my feet very helpful.
Beautiful. And that's again showing you the connection between your foot and your hips and your lower back.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's cool. And there's more fun little hacks, like later on you'll be using your feet to pull a towel. That's gonna be
Mm,
and you'll put a little bit of weight on the towel and just pull, 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 pull. Like how cats like
okay.
do that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. That's pretty funny. Actually, I always like to, sometimes it was easier for me to use my feet, like to turn the light off or something like that.
oh
So I feel
yeah.
like this could be really, really fun for me.
I love it. Yeah, shoot, even try picking up random stuff off the ground with your feet. Who knows?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Playing with it. Okay, that's fantastic. So it's affecting your life in other ways. And also, now even with Farhan's mom, in the beginning with working with her, it was, I told her, hey, like once you get to a certain goal, then it opens up maybe some other ideas of now what do you want to do? Because maybe the goal in the beginning was, I just don't want to be in pain. And then maybe the next goal is, oh, I can walk now. Let's go hiking. And then it's like, oh, I can do that. Well, can I run now? And then it's like, oh, can I? So for you, as you've gone through the course at your own pace, have you noticed at all that you've now maybe opened up other avenues of what you want to try or what's possible for you in terms of movement?
Definitely. Like already a lot of things popped up in my head
Yeah.
because it just feels like um, I am becoming more aligned with healthy living in general. And that was one thing that made me more aligned with this lifestyle that I am eventually craving to achieve. Um, so I started eating more healthy before taking this course, but it was a huge shift in my life to,
Mm.
eat whole foods and nothing that is, you know, toxic for me, as far as we know. And then I started training regularly, and then I realized that I want to do more, and I want to become even more healthy. So
Mm.
then I got into breath work, and I also decided at some point not so long ago to become a breath work instructor
Beautiful.
because it helped me with my nasal congestion and my allergic rhinitis. So I realized that right now I am at this point where I live a really healthy lifestyle as opposed to before, and I feel like it's just all connected because I go to the gym and then I do ice baths also daily. I do my breath work, then I do your course exercises. So it's all very very aligned, and it's all a part of like a beautiful big picture.
That's cool. That's cool. You're creating your own ecosystem. You're living in the
Exactly.
jungle, you're barefoot, you're
Yeah.
changing. That's beautiful. So the breath work, I, you know, I've done a lot of breath work classes myself, and uh you'll probably notice, and actually I'm glad you're doing it because as I release more and more to you in the course, there's styles of breathing for lifting a weight, right? And sometimes people may think, what men and women both may think that lifting a weight is just either brute strength, or you have to just be really strong with your grip or whatever it is. A lot of it is how you're breathing. And I'm sure you've seen, and actually I would love to hear your insight from breathwork. I've seen with breathwork rather that when you can really learn how to put air in places of your rib cage where you don't
Yes.
get, like your spine changes and your grip and your way
Yeah.
your vision changes, you know. Yeah, but I want to get your insight about how breathwork has changed you physiologically.
So for me, one very important thing that I learned from breathwork is to breathe through my nose at all times, and to stop any kind of mouth breathing unless it's, let's say, holotropic breathwork, or when it's really intentional, or whenever it's a really difficult exercise, or if you go running for a long time, then it's okay to breathe through your mouth. But what I have applied to my life is to breathe only through my nose. And also during the exercise, I am breathing also only through my nose. And that makes me feel better, because this is also more physiological. Whenever you look at animals, for example, especially those animals that are running, like, some tiger, they are not breathing through the mouth, and they are only breathing through the nose, even though they are engaged in, this physical activity. So
Mm-hmm.
this is one thing. Another thing that I learned is to exhale longer, and to take shorter breaths in, because then I am activating my parasympathetic nervous system. And, I am not into that stress, fight or flight response, but I am more into the rest and digest response. So using the breath work to calm myself down. But I am practicing mostly Buteyko method breath work. And it was designed specifically for asthma. And I don't have asthma, but I do have allergic rhinitis. And ever since I started practicing, I don't need any kind of medication.
Wow.
So just using the breath, using the diaphragm is another big cue.
Yes.
And using the belly, minimizing the movements of the chest. I'm also exploring it still, right? So I have starting to explore what happens if I first fill in my belly, and then I fill in my chest, and all of those different things that I just like experimenting and seeing what happens. But definitely I've seen the benefits with belly breathing, nasal breathing, and slow breathing, and also breathing less air into my nose, trying not to overbreathe.
That's tremendous that it's really helping you in that way. And also, I think it's such a cool thing to be able to understand how to create resilience to stress through some of the things you're doing with breath and even the movement work. I'm excited to see how it's all going to couple, because it's going to couple. The harder the movements get and the more you're training your breath, the more that's going to just sync better and better, because some of the movements are
Yeah.
when your nervous system is freaking out and you know how to breathe, then you're set, because that's when you're in the driver's seat. You're like, okay, this is kind of crazy, but hey, I got this. I know where to expand.
Definitely.
But the thing I'll say for you is, as you go forward and say you lift a weight, right? The places that you'll put air are the lateral part of your ribs, which is something we teach a lot. Belly, and then belly, like, so when you go lateral breathing, when you go out to the outsides, then you go belly, and then the posterior part of your spine, and you go up. Now you've created this press system that if you then brace and Kegel and draw your belly button up from this space with air and then brace, now you're like a strong inflated balloon that can move a weight. Sometimes 80% of the effort is actually just creating the strong brace and breath.
That's really, really interesting. But also, yeah, it's very, very essential, in my opinion, to practice breathing, because even in myself, I see like I can expand my belly just like that without any effort. And at the very beginning, it was quite hard. I didn't have this, I didn't feel my belly so much. So I feel like this is another thing that you can really train yourself well to do well.
Like when you watch kids and they walk around without their shirt, their bellies are sticking out and they're just
Yeah,
everything hanging out. They don't care. Yeah, no, I think it seems like, and I've talked to Farhan about this a lot. I think it seems like it keeps going back to a return to how we used to be as kids.
exactly.
The basics, barefoot, breathing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also have these kind of thoughts a lot, that essentially we just have to do what nature intended. And anything that is too far from the nature, like any chemicals, you know, high heels that women are wearing and that I myself used to wear, anything that is too far from the nature probably is not good.
Yeah.
So this is something I think about a lot.
So let's go to you mentioned the high heels. I want to know about this for you. So as a woman now, from where you were to now where you are now, what kind of shoe wear are you wearing now most of the time? Or are you mostly barefoot?
I have Vivos and I have Earth Runners, and this is mostly what I'm wearing. I also have like one Havaianas, in case just to wear at home maybe, but most of the time I prefer going barefoot. And those Vivos and Earth Runners, and I don't think I would ever get high heels again or any other types of shoes that are trendy or cool. And I'm also seeing it in a different way. Maybe I won't get like tempted to shop and to get something that is like new and expensive, because I just realized that this is not good for me. I'd rather be healthy and get something that will work well.
Right. So it seems like the more you're aligning with your body, then your thoughts are changing, and then you're
Exactly. Yeah, and you're also realizing more and more about the world that we live in.
Yeah, you're questioning a lot too, it seems like.
Yeah, yeah.
I would say it seems like there are a lot of things you've been questioning implicitly from what you're saying, but for the people that are listening, I always think it's important to ask is what would you say throughout this journey? I mean, you've done so much for yourself, but throughout this journey, what are some things you've been questioning? And obviously you've made the shifts, but what are some things you've been questioning or still questioning in terms of how society's been operating, or how even you've been operating?
Well, first thing that comes to mind is the gym. I started questioning, does it make sense to even go to a gym without a specific program? Because maybe you can do more harm than good if you try to use certain machines or equipment and your body is not ready for it, and you don't have specific knowledge for it. I started like questioning that. And that's why I'm very happy doing your course, because it just feels like I can trust it, because it will not make anything worse. It can only make things better. So this is one thing. Another thing, of course, food that we have in the supermarkets. I don't trust that. I try to get as much raw ingredients as I can, and cook myself. Don't get any highly processed foods, because who knows what are the ingredients inside. Sometimes you can read the ingredients, sometimes you don't even know what are the ingredients, the oils we use in the kitchen. So just try to also stay as close to nature as possible. Low processed foods, and also and many other parts of life, like clothing. What are the materials that we are wearing? Is it good for us? Pharmaceuticals. Trying to stay away if I can, because as I told you, I'm using breath now. Whenever I get any runny nose, nasal congestion, in the past, my go-to would be just taking a medicine, just taking some nasal drops, or just taking some, steroids. But right now I am trying to fight it with breath, just using natural methods. And yeah, same with any kind of pain. I'm trying to stay away from painkillers and just see what my body is trying to tell me.
That's awesome. I think this is a very important thing for people that are listening, is that oftentimes pain or signal, as I've learned it over the past couple of years, if we can learn to zoom out and to look from a different lens, put a different set of glasses on, and if we look, okay, we have a conscious mind and we have a subconscious mind, and then there's something else that can observe these things. And whether someone's into religion or someone's into science, if you're science leaning, then maybe you can say, okay, it's awareness, something that's infinite that can observe. If you're religious leaning, maybe it's your soul, maybe it's God, whatever you want to call it. But that thing that can see the thought and that's aware that you're aware, how can we use that faculty to just look at a sensation and just look at it long enough?
Yeah.
So we realize, oh, we're not the sensation. Okay, then what is it trying to tell us? What is this? Because usually a sensation has obviously a sensation, but also a story attached. And whenever we can see, okay, what's the story behind the sensation? If the story is, oh, I'm weak, or the story is, this hurts, I don't like it, we can explore it if we look at it versus identifying with the sensation.
Yes.
And I think that's the juice that I've taken away from my own journey with my body, is when I was at the pits of pain everywhere, like shoulders, knees, feet, back, was just feels terrible. When I was in my when I was 24, 25, I probably felt the worst in my life.
Okay.
And now at 38, I feel the best. So
that's great. That's great. Yeah. Also for me, what happened a couple of months ago, I had I think back pain because I was trying to move something and I bent it in the wrong way, trying to like push some heavy object at the gym. And I had pain for like a week straight. And then I realized that probably whatever I do, whenever I reach for something, I am bending in the wrong way, in like the worst way possible. And like, not using my knees, like not using my knees over the toes. And that allowed me to change my habits. So because I experienced this stress of having pain for more than a week, it taught me to always be aware, to bend in a correct way whenever I'm reaching for something. So I always take these things that happen as an opportunity to look into what I could be doing wrong and how can I change it before it's too late. It's like my body is doing me a favor. It's like, look into that more, try to see what you can improve here. So I would advise everybody to, whenever they're experiencing any kind of pain, to not try to shun it and get rid of it, but rather listen to it and become like a detective. Try to see where would it point you to.
I like the detective analogy a lot, and I would even say, detective, become a friend of it, invite it to the dinner table. Hey, have a seat with me. Let's eat together. Let's talk.
Exactly, because you are working with your body, and your body is not working against you. It's it's not your enemy. It's telling you something. So talk to it.
Yeah, and you literally, I mean, I'd love to know what kind of conversations you have. I'll share kind of a conversation I've had in the past where, I would wake up. I was 24 years old. I would wake up in my bed and I'd feel this sense of dread that I have to get to work. And I was working as a personal trainer at the time, and I felt completely out of alignment as well, because in every which way, metaphorically, physically, all of it. I woke up and I would bleed from my armpits every day because I had this disease, metabolic disease, where I couldn't sweat properly. So then my body decided to create these tunnels in my skin to find a way to push the sweat out.
Mm.
And so I could only lift my arms to about here when I was 24, 25. And then to compound that from lifting wrong, I herniated my disc in my back, and then I tore my right hip and I dislocated both my shoulders from heavy lifting. And so I'm sitting there in bed, like, how do I even get up? You know? And it was because I was running away from all the sensation. Because every time I had an injury or pain, I'd run away from it by doing more. Can I look cool? Can I get validation by doing this thing? And just avoiding the sensation or what the story is trying to tell me. So I had to get to a place where after literally passing out from trying to stand up, I passed out on the ground. I had to ask myself, you know, as I was passed out, I was able to ask myself, okay, clearly I cannot go on this way.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even get to work. So if this is the case, how can I yield for a second? And when I yielded, when I just surrendered to the pain, I'm like, okay, what are you trying to say? And I finally asked myself that question after resisting it for years and years and years. And just from asking, I felt relief. You know, it's like, okay, I don't have to fight it anymore. You know?
Yeah. Just the acknowledgement, right?
Because you know, even if you look at athletes, they hold on because I am basketball, I am soccer. And I was like, oh well. And the moment they get injured, they're like, well, who am I now? And
Yeah,
so,
that's a whole identity for so many people.
and so as I asked more questions, then I started to find better solutions. And then I'm here now, fast forward, and that's a whole other story. But I'd be curious for you, like as you were going through this, you know, and you would feel a pain sensation, maybe even while doing a movement. What were some of the like some of the inner dialogue as you were going through a movement and you felt changes in your body, like, oh, that changed. I don't feel as much pain anymore. What were some of the things that you were going through as you were going through movement?
I always felt very positive. You know, I don't think I have ever felt any pain during the movement that would be wrong. Most of the time, it would be an indication that something is working. So
Oh,
I'm
cool.
activating a certain part. So I was never really angry or anything like that. Whenever that happens, uh, I also, maybe I wouldn't call it pain, just feeling the part of my body and maybe a little bit of soreness, but feeling it being activated sometimes to the point that I can't go through it and I have to take a break. But I always felt like this is making me stronger. This is making me more resistant. This is good. This is positive. So I always had and I have very positive correlation with whatever I'm feeling during the movements.
Now, with a lot of the aches and pains you've had through your wrists and all that, that was something that was just perpetual throughout your day. Like you would feel it irrespective of how you moved, or was it you would feel it only?
Oh, regarding those, I would just wake up and it's there. Or sometimes I feel like, oh, my wrist is starting to hurt. And then the next day is hurting more. And then the next day even more. And to the point that I was even wearing those wrist braces.
Oh,
And, you know, I couldn't really use my hand at all. So whenever that happened, and specifically before I started the training, I always thought, you know, I'm so young. Why is this happening? And why is it happening so often?
yeah,
There has to be something wrong.
yeah.
And at first, I wasn't really accepting it.
Hmm.
I wanted it, you know, I wasn't really what I mentioned just before. I wasn't really going into it and trying to discover where it leads me or why is it happening. And
Hmm.
you know, through the support of people who are close to me, Farhan specifically, he encouraged me to take action and to change my life. And I realized that I can't go on like this in my life. Like I have to uh, train and I have to give an outlet for my body, to use my energy to move, and because this is the right time to do it, right?
How many things do you like? Okay, so with wrist pain and all that stuff that was happening, how many activities would you avoid? Like, how did it impact your life? Like, what were things you were avoiding doing because you had pain?
Oh, I remember one time, it was maybe almost 2 years ago. It was before Christmas, and we wanted to have like a Christmas dinner with friends, and I was going to cook a few dishes, but I gave up. I was like, okay, let's just order something because I am not able to cook, because it was some Polish traditional meal, and it involved a lot of work, and also I would have to use my hands a lot. So I was like, I can't do it. It's impossible. And many other things, like working was very hard, uh, using the computer, and I had to use my phone with one hand only because it was too hard. So it was for sure, um, it was a huge obstacle in my everyday life. And I remember also another time, when we were living for a while in Texas, and I had such a strong ankle pain that I could not walk up and down the stairs at all. And it was shocking. It was like, I was maybe 25 years old at the time, and I was like, this should not be like it. And
Yeah,
why am I having so much pain to the point that I cannot use the stairs? This is
yeah.
insane. So yeah.
Wow. I mean, I always say wow because everyone's perspective and experience is unique, and so I'm more coming from a compassionate place, but I'm also not. Also, in some ways, I'm not surprised because I see 11-year-olds that come into my gym that and 12-year-olds
Mm,
have knee pain walking up the stairs, or they have ankle problems or back problems, and at this point, it's like you can see it in a 5-year-old. Like I can see it start to happen. I'm like, oh, there's his foot.
yeah.
There it goes. Okay, man, I wonder if he has pain. And to the kid, maybe he can brute through it. But I have a client that has a kids in New Jersey, and when I met them, and the dad, the guy that I trained, he had severe neck pain from doing wrestling, a lot of wrestling growing up,
Mm,
and now he's in the healthcare industry, so he's helping doing surgeries and all this stuff. So with him, the journey was helping him understand how to release the neck and how to get his shoulders back. So his kids are watching, his 5-year-old, 6-year-olds watching. And so they're taking the blade too, and they're trying to do it on themselves.
okay.
They're telling dad, I feel better. And so
Wow.
they're learning that these feelings they're feeling as a kid are actually not normal. The ones that are actually detrimental, they can understand it at a young age. And they're doing Nordic curls, the dad's holding their legs down and they're like 6 years old. So it's like, uh, I'm wondering now, when do we truly start this training?
Mm,
When does it really begin? And how do we really redefine what training does for a kid? Like it gives them more options. Because even for you, like you couldn't even use your hand to use your phone,
yeah.
could barely walk up the stairs. And then now you have options. You're It's like, did you ever see a video game and in the beginning they have a little map and you can only see a
Mm,
small part of your map. Then as you explore more parts of the game, the map gets more illuminated. It's
yeah.
very much the same with movement. They call it, I mean, and I guess in neuroscience they call it a cortical map, like the map of
Mm,
movements you can do. And then as your map expands, you start to think, oh, can I do a handstand now? And can I do a backflip? Can I jump? Uh,
yeah.
so I really wonder about that now. Like, when do kids actually need to start?
Yeah. Also the lifestyle choices, right? Like what kind of shoes they are wearing, and are they walking barefoot, and are they using the phones and bending over the
Yeah.
phones. So yeah, that's a really tough thing.
Every time I walk barefoot around here in Austin, every kid's like, "Mom, mom." can I take my shoes off?
Oh,
Mom says, no.
oh my God.
But the kid, like you said, you always preferred it. I think most kids prefer it too. I think we all.
Probably. Yeah, I have a very distinct memory of always wanting to go barefoot, and just my parents. I know they didn't mean anything bad, but they were always like, maybe there will be a glass or you'll step on something. Just wear your shoes. But even if we are wearing shoes, let's just make it uh, good shoewear like the Vivos or any other the how do you call it, the barefoot shoewear,
Right,
right?
right. And I have one big main question at the end, but I want to mention this too. That there's a tribe, and I'll send this to you. I think you and Farhan would love it. There's a tribe, I think, in the Amazon, and they have an insane foot splay. Like how far their toe spread is insane. I've never seen anything like it. And they've adapted this because there's coconuts up at the top of the tree. So
Oh,
when they're walking on these weird textured surfaces, they've spread so much, they know how to grip the tree. And as they climb, their toes are so like their big toes like way out. And they're able to get up that tree like it's nothing. Pop, 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 grab the coconut, come down, and they can run really quickly, obviously, because their foot can grip the floor and push. It's really cool to watch. But in any event,
amazing.
I want to know for you, now that you're here, you're at this point, and your map has illuminated. What would you say is or are some new movement goals that you would like to accomplish now, or has there been a movement or a set of exercises or maybe an activity or a sport or anything? Is there something now that you're like, I'm looking forward to this, I would love to be able to do this?
Uh, you know, I don't really have this type of mindset that I have like, a specific goal or anything that I'm looking forward to. I just want to sustain whatever I'm doing. So I'm just very excited to keep being healthy and just keep moving and seeing what my body can do in the future. So nothing really specific, but I do want to run and jog more at the beach. So this is something that I'm looking forward to. Also, nasal breathing during running and just seeing really what I can do. What are the options? Yeah.
Awesome. Are you going to tape your mouth while you run?
No, I think I can do pretty well without taping,
Cool.
but
Cool.
Farhan is taping, mouth taping during exercise. He's even more heavy on that than me,
Cool.
which is really awesome because you're also, I don't know if you're aware of all the biochemistry of breathing through your nose and holding your breath. When you hold your breath, the amount or the pressure of carbon dioxide increases in your blood,
Yes.
and that will allow the oxygen to go into your tissues because it's called Bohr effect, and it's like contrary to what many people believe, that carbon dioxide is something that is wrong, that is bad for us. But
Right.
we need to have a certain carbon dioxide pressure also to just get the oxygen in our muscles, in our brains, and in other organs.
Of course. Of course. Well, that's awesome. I think,
So teaching my body to have a better tolerance to carbon dioxide, movement is a huge part of it. And I'm also trying to combine breathing exercises while I am training and seeing how I feel after.
that's cool. Cool. That's beautiful. And then I'm really excited for you to jog. I was gonna tell Farhan this too. I've moved platforms, and I'm gonna send you the new platform because it's even cleaner. And well, actually, yeah, I wanted to ask you, what phase are you in right now?
I am finishing phase 2 right now. I think it's day 7 of phase 2.
This is bulletproofing too, BP
Yeah,
two.
yeah, correct.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, fantastic. I'll actually move you into the new one. It's actually easier to use, easier to log in. And
Okay.
then The community access is even faster. So it's kind of cool. I think you'll like it. And yeah,
Awesome.
be posting more things in there too. But hey, thank you. Thank you for being on here with us. This has been a lot of fun. And I actually would love to do another one as you're further along in the course, because I know you're going to have
Sure.
more insights. But thank you so much. And I would say for anyone that's watching right now, this is a finishing thought for you. Anyone that's watching right now, especially the women out there that may have started like you, who are don't believe this is possible, like you did. What would you say to them that are looking at this right now? They're in pain. Maybe they're entrenched in the old ways of doing things. They just show up to the gym, they jump on the treadmill, they, do a couple of machines and they leave. What would you say to them now from this new space? How would you encourage them?
I would say that intentional training is way better than just doing something just for the sake of doing it. And be patient. Let your body figure it out. Give it a chance, and start very gentle and just be consistent and see where it takes you, because you might be very surprised by the results.
That's perfect. Well, thank you, Marta. And thank you for everyone that's watching this. And yeah, please ask me any questions. Feel free to ask Marta any questions. There'll be more to come.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Sumer. You are always with me at the gym, because I always bring the iPad and always watch the video before I do any movements. So you've been a part of my life for like a year now. So thank you so much. Thank you for making it so easy and accessible. And yeah, you've changed my life. I'm not in pain anymore, and I got way more than I expected from the training.
Well, I'm honored to be a part of it. Alrighty.